So for the first session, we'll be having Mr. Atul Khekade. He is the co-founder of Xinfin Hybrid Blockchain Network. He'll be talking about like moving into how can we move into the next phase of blockchain by actually putting it into action, and we'll be also discussing some of the projects of Xinfin Network and so what were the learnings from those projects. What can you learn? How can you implement your own things? So to accompany him, we also have two surprise speakers, Mr. Ritesh and Mr. Anil from Team Zinfin. So we will be starting the session in next 30 seconds. Hi Atul, hi Ritesh. Thanks a lot for joining us today for this session. So we are really
Thank you,
honored to
Yogesh.
have you here. You can just go on and share your screen if you want and take the session.
Sure. Thank you, Yogesh. Thank you so much for inviting us here. And I'm thankful to have Ritesh along with me. I just had a few minor glitches just before the session with my bandwidth, but Ritesh is here to back me up for anything that we may need. And thank you so much, all the Zubi community and the developers, which I think we have been working with quite a few of them, but we're thankful to have you guys here. I just, wanted to make this session really simple. Still today, the time is that when blockchain, is discussed, many people think that look, it's still far from mainstream adoption and production. It's not. It's already live there in the market, and that's why there's so much liquidity being poured into it. Uh, Before I get to that, I'll just introduce myself again. I'm Atul Khekade. I'm the co-founder of Xinfin Network. We call it XDC Network to make it more simple, as we are moving into decentralization, because the network is pretty much known by its native token only, as we are decentralizing forward. And I've been a serial entrepreneur. I put a blockchain network to production before, and I'm going to walk you around with all the amazing opportunities that exist in the industry today, and how technology as a whole can migrate towards the amazing features that blockchain offers. Uh, I'll let Ritesh give a small introduction about himself before moving on to uh, the the agenda.
Yeah. Thank you, Atul. And thank you, Zubi and entire team. My name is Ritesh Kakkar, and I am one of the co-founder for Xinfin Network. We call as the XDC Network. And we are trying to create a ecosystems, blockchain-based ecosystems for the larger developer pools globally. So Atul is, started this journey. I think 3 and 4.5, almost 4 years before. So he will start with his experience, and side by side, I will give you a demo about like what we have done so far and what we learn out of this experience. And it will be like very much useful for all the developers community. So Atul, you can start with basic demos and everything, your experience sharing.
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Ritesh, for that quick introduction. Hello again, guys, and I'm really excited to bring this to you today. As much I was excited about having my first Bitcoin and Ether in my wallet many years back, and I kind of enjoyed it. The volatility, obviously, made some trades, and was beginning to explore how this technology is really working. I've been a tech guy to begin with, but adding liquidity with tokens to the technology was kind of very compelling for me not to neglect it that time, and it turned out to to be really backed up with hype and support from the market. So in the initial days, when we took it to the mainstream market and we discussed the technology, everyone had the same impression as they had about internet when it started. So internet had its own negative points when it started. Everyone thought negative was for black market industries and all that, and that was the perception that in the initial days that we faced. And we were determined to change that with a very clear target of bringing this technology mainstream. So back in 2015, 16, I helped co-found the India division for a US based startup called Monetago, and there we basically did more education for Reserve Bank of India, National Payments Corporation of India, the banks in India, and it ended up having a very successful implementation of a blockchain network that was actually used in fraud prevention. So there's a company called Monetago, which is obviously before Xinfin that I work with, and it's used by the network is used by a multiple of banks and fintech providers for trade for fraud prevention in trade finance, and that's a pretty big use case. For example, let's say you have a financial document that you go to one bank and the other bank has no visibility to it, so there could be frauds in that process, right? So the system was implemented to solve that multi-million, probably hundreds of $1 million worth of problems to fix fraud, and it's a live network, so that encouraged us quite a bit. And we thought, look, the public blockchain has its own use case, because everyone has needs a public visibility towards something when multiple parties are working onto it. But there has to be a private side to it as well, so that people are not so much afraid to share what their very secret or internal data is. So they started working on this concept called hybrid blockchain, in which you would still have the flexibility of having a public blockchain, but the privacy for having the enterprise grade transactions where data sharing and all has a more stringent compliances would also be able to be taken into consideration while implementing the solutions. So we had the first rollout, the first prototypes of the network that was live. The good thing that we did was we immediately went to the market. So we didn't just sit there, trying to speculate it or trying to figure out where it was going to be used. We took it to the market. We actually, engaged with regulators, government. So what we, ended up having was a POC with government of Maharashtra, and that was obviously brought from our team, developer team in India. And we may have a screenshot that maybe Ritesh can share here. It's a land registry POC that we did with government of Maharashtra, where basically you have all these land titles and real estate ownership, and you want to have a track of who owned the property and how the title shifted from one person to another. So that ended up being a very successful POC with government of Maharashtra, and it is equally applicable for other states in India, but even countries outside of India. So we have a live the POC was kind of there. Maybe Ritesh will be able to share the screen with you, just to give you a look at what was done there.
Yeah, I see it's getting loaded. It would be loaded in a few minutes. Yeah, there we are.
Yes. So this is what you're saying is we basically made this public open source immediately after we completed the POC with government of Maharashtra, simply for the reason that we wanted this to evolve, so other state governments, developer teams can come and work with us to take it to their respective state governments. This is also applicable to other countries, as I said. And Ritesh, maybe do you think Ritesh is would we have enough time to demo this, or is it just a screenshot would be fine as of now?
Yeah, so all the codes and products is available online. So anyone they like to go through this product, they can go online. It's at land-registry.xinfin.org.
Yeah, so good thing about what we develop at Xinfin is it's a decentralized network, right? So everyone we set a framework for something. So we don't go in and control that use case, or we don't go in and control the network. The control is where the network is fairly decentralized. So for example, you can set up a master node for Xinfin network today. You can be the validator yourself today, and you can use this framework of applications to actually present it as a developer to your respective clients, or your institutions or governments, and we would continue to back you up or incentivize you for doing that. And it's a wonderful structure that we work on, and that's why Zubi being part of majorly consisting of the developer community, we wanted to today showcase not what we have done, just not what we have done, but what stands forward, the great opportunities that align today for all the developer teams out there, that you can come and join us to take this to multiple state governments or multiple governments, and evolve this product into a live production network. Okay, so I think because we don't have too much time to demo each and every use case, and we thought we'll talk about just a few of them. So we are not going to give each of those demos too much of time, but it's there for you to access, and we can probably share the URL here with you. One second, I'm just sharing the URL here. Team at Zubi, Punit, if you guys can see this, it may be shared with the audience for you to access.
Yep.
Punit, do you see that?
Yes, we'll just share it with them.
Okay, so just to give you how big this opportunity is today, all your houses, all the land that is available, all the commercial properties, they'll have this is like the biggest asset that we collectively own, along with our government, not just obviously in India but across the world. So having a registered track of that, a link of that, a blockchain record of that, linked with the financial transactions such as insurance or mortgage payments, would become a massive use case as we take this forward. Okay, then there is okay, we'll go to the next POC that we completed, and that was for our partner in Singapore, Ramco. It's one of the leading companies that does cloud ERP. And what we did there, along with their actual customer, Air France KLM Labs, was trade finance, liquidity through tokenization, and that's what eventually we brought under TradeFinX. So TradeFinX is currently it's under rollout. We're working with a multiple of originators to get their origination and live for alternative asset investors. But maybe we can show you a screenshot of what was done. Yeah, so what you see here is basically the TradeFinX website. What happens here is there are 450 million MSMEs in this world, right? And obviously, if you look at India, there's a large amount of MSMEs in there. And the problem is they are always cash trapped because they don't have smart as a CFO, so the banks don't really entertain them. So with a complete digitization of their KYCs and their their records and linking that to the liquidity that's coming in from banks or financial institutions or alternative asset investors, you're basically empowering them to get liquidity as they, to basically get liquidity if they get a contract from some big company. It could be a big buyer, and they could basically get liquidity in their hands, so they get working capital pretty fast. Now this capital is utilized into job creation, hiring more people, and it is more relevant in the economy that we are seeing today, because of the COVID. Obviously, you see, businesses are kind of struggling, and the job creation isn't really happening. So we need more effort towards enriching the existing ecosystem with more liquidity. So TradeFinex, obviously, it's there right now, and there are some interesting updates that we are going to be rolling out to it. We have two regulated institutions. One of them is fairly big, like one of the biggest names in business, who will be distributing their origination to alternative asset investors. So this is the model that you see, and it has been POC'd before, as I talked about the Ramco Air France KLM POC, in which the origination for small suppliers who need, were to provide their services to a big airline, they could find liquidity through alternative asset investors. That was the successful POC that was done. But now this is getting rolled into live transactions. So I know, some of our community has also always been asking questions about status of TradeFinex, and all we can see is that you're going to see our eventual mandate being fulfilled along the line as we are getting some of the originators live here. So what's the opportunity for developer system? What I talk right now is a very financial use case, but to a large developer community that Zubi consists of, there is a major need for every ERP system or small business accounting system to be connected to TradeFinex. The guarantees, the insurance companies. So these are big companies, and they'll need to connect to each other to either secure a risk for a business or to provide liquidity for the business. And TradeFinex is kind of a protocol that sits on top of XDC network that connects all of them. So great opportunity for developers here is to connect TradeFinex to other the actual businesses and actual institutions, banks, and alternative asset investors. I'm going to jump on to the next use case. One more update about TradeFinex that I forgot to mention is that we have sandbox license with Abu Dhabi Global Market. So we work very close with regulators. We want to make sure that we don't cross boundaries because these are obviously financial markets. They are heavily regulated. So we don't, whenever money is involved, we don't go too aggressively to try to prove a point, so that we don't want to step a line. That's why we have been working very close to regulators. The good thing is the regulations are coming now. So when the regulations come into full force, what we have ensured is that our solutions work with regulators themselves. So there won't be any major restructuring required for whatever is deployed on XDC network to be changed or anything for it to go live with actual customers. Okay, so I'm going to jump to the next use case that we are doing with it's a stablecoin project. So we are doing this project with e-money license holder who is regulated by MAS in Singapore, and we are also discussing this project with MAS themselves and trying to align it with Project Ubin that MAS is kind of working on. So maybe Ritesh can give you a snapshot towards what's coming up next. It's a stablecoin project based on SGD, which will basically be used for remittances and trade finance, because the money will be transferred at a fraction of a cost between suppliers, and the lenders themselves can convert their reserves into this stablecoin to be able to lend it to the market. Yeah, so what you see here is basically tokenization of Singapore dollar. Now, this is a framework again. Whatever, just to repeat the point, whatever that we develop is actually a framework, so that it's not just limited to one implementation. But let's say you are to convert this framework for a tokenization of rupee or tokenization of AED or any currency that you have, it is still applicable for that. What basically will happen is that there'll be a trusted e-money license holder who will also be the trust, and they'll have reserves of Singapore dollar in a bank account, and that will be digitally represented to on the SGDX contract, smart contract on the XDC network, Xinfin network. And what we're doing in the background, and this is what we specialize in, is to connect the ecosystem. So we are now going to be reaching out to banks in India. We're going to be reaching out to financial institutions and banks in the UAE region, African region, so that they can connect their payment systems or their remittance systems or their trade finance based applications to this stable coin to start live transactions. And once again, this is a great opportunity for developers as well, because there is a massive integration opportunity for this to work for the enterprise environment. So there are going to be a lot of jobs, there are going to be a lot of projects that the developer teams will get to work on. Okay. And I think we have about 10 minutes left. I can show you about 2 more use cases before giving an open invitation for the developer community for some interesting announcements. So some of you might be knowing decentralized oracles or middleware, the projects that are kind of really in need in the market right now. So Chainlink is one such project, which what it does is it's deployed on the Ethereum network, and it is basically it connects anyone to anyone through. So right now the biggest use case that they provide is the price feeds. But what we are doing through a project that was project framework that was developed in-house through Xinfin is mycontract.co. And what it will do is, it is right now not just developing or releasing the decentralized price oracles that can be used for DeFi markets with the instant finality of the Xinfin network, but also being able to use it as a middleware or bridge for any network or any non-DLT system or even DLT based system. Because when we go out in the market and we talk to institutions, the first thing that they talk about is that, look, we cannot change anything from our side. So if we have to work with you, we need a bridge, right? We need a connector. And this is being rolled out as a developer framework, so that developers can come in and they can connect the APIs and systems for ERP systems, banks, financial institutions that can find a common protocol for interacting with each other. And my contract itself, just to remind you, is blockchain agnostic. So it can work on any blockchain or any non-blockchain platform as well. It is deployed on top of the XDC node, but it is not itself blockchain centered on XDC network. It is blockchain agnostic, so it can support a multiple of platforms out there. And this is an interesting rollout for us. This also resulted as a piece of from a POC that we did for one of the institutional clients that we cannot reveal right now due to the NDA. But keep your eyes on this interesting framework coming in as well. One last thing I wanted to show was the developer environment, Xinfin Remix. So many of you may have seen the Ethereum remix, and you'll find it amazing to work with the Xinfin remix, XDC network remix environment, because if you're already familiar with Ethereum and you're deployed your applications there, you'll really enjoy working with Xinfin, because the network is so fast, and the transactions are there's obviously they have been tested at 2000 TPS, and the gas fees are really really low. So whatever you develop as whether any kind of applications, you'll see that you have to spend almost 1,000th of less gas on the XDC network. And maybe Ritesh can just show you a glimpse of the Xinfin remix. This is basically a toolkit for all the developer artists out there. In one of the Zubi talks, I talked about developers being able to express themselves through coding, and this is a tool for you guys out there, the Zubi community or the audience here out there, to build whatever you want on the XDC network. So you can build pretty much all kind of applications. It's an amazing experience. You should really come in and deploy it. We, as a part of ecosystem development, we keep on announcing bounties for deploying applications on that. There is also funding that we can do for proven MVPs. So if you have a project, you want to come to us, you're looking for funding, then feel free to go to our website where we have just made that page live to be able to apply for funding for your application, and we'll be happy to take a look at your projects, or to incentivize you to deploy your projects on the XDC network. So that's I wanted to keep it short. I think we still have 5 minutes left of our session, and I have tried to cover most of the use cases, how they evolved. So we started with government of Maharashtra, then Ramco Air France, KLM, then obviously Abu Dhabi Global Markets, the stablecoin projects, and how they're now evolving into actual live major implementations. As we move forward, maybe I'll let Puneet take questions for our session here, and anything that you guys may need from us to work with us.
Absolutely, Atul. Thank you for joining in. I think there's some internet problem. I'll just stop my camera. Yeah, sorry. Thanks, Atul. Thanks for joining in, and thank you for briefing about various use cases and a lot of applications focused on the business side, focused on the tech side, focused on ease implementation side, wherein people can come, they can just create contracts in a go. And thank you for bringing in tools which developers can use, and developers can write smart contracts in a very easy fashion. So going further to the questions, we have like few interesting questions from the audience. So I'll be just taking it one by one. So first question goes, it's from Harsh. So what exactly they want to know from you, Atul? What exactly is XDC protocol that is being used in TradeFinex? Like, can we get an overview of it?
Yeah, sure. So what we essentially do. So first of all, what is XDC protocol? XDC is the way Xinfin network communicates with each other. So today, if you set up your own masternode and I set up my own masternode, and there's an institution or a bank who sets up its own masternode, and we all want to communicate with each other, we have to speak the same language, right? So that's what the XDC as a protocol does, and that's very relatable to how Ethereum or ETH stands for in the Ethereum network. So XDC as a protocol is basically a common language through tokens that the network participants speak with each other. Now, coming to trade finance as a use case, most of you probably know how DeFi is working in the market right now, where you have, let's say, you have Ether and you want to lend it, or you want to borrow that. So basically, there are DeFi protocols that take your tokens through a smart contract and lend it through a smart contract. Here in the XDC protocols case, what happens is we are registering the asset which are coming from offline origination. So they may be invoices, letters of credits, or a bill of exchange. These are very big instruments. They are used in trade finance markets all the time. Their value is in the trillions of dollars. What we've done is we have developed basically a protocol for all these offline origination to be recorded on the on the smart contract level with legal backing. So we follow the open law framework that consensus has rolled out, and what we have done, our developers have done to it, is in the jurisdictions where trade finance already has a license for sandbox. We have devised, or we basically convert those smart contracts into legally enforceable offline instruments as well, and that is what we call XDC protocol. Now what happens then? Let's say there is a buyer's there's a big company which is paying its suppliers, then it's liabilities, or then it's obligation to pay for that instrument is legally recorded, and that's what makes it financeable. That's what makes it financeable for all the alternative asset investors to come in, stake their money, and get returns, or say institutional funds, hedge funds, or even banks to come in and access that smart contract. So that's what we have basically done in TradeFinex.
Amazing. Thanks, Atul, for that. The next question that comes in is a very interesting question from Prabhat. He says, for any technology to be adopted mainstream, UX has a very important role in it. You cannot ask people to use applications that has a lot of complexities. You cannot ask them to use applications, and you cannot expect that to be adopted by a mass. There might be a few certain percentage or a certain sector of audience who would be able to adopt it, but for the mass to adopt it, you need to have the role play or the gameplay of UX. So the question by Prabhat is, what exactly is Xinfin doing to improve their product UX, and how is Xinfin, or how the products of Xinfin can be used by a lot of people in the market?
Yeah, thank you. That's a great question, and that's we get that all the time as well. Now, look, I mean, it's about specialization. So what we do really well is we have defined all the applications as a framework of applications, right? So you can today you can go and try yourself deploying a masternode on Xinfin network. You can see how easy it is, how much our team has made it simple for you to deploy it. Now, when it comes to applications, what our team is consistently does it deploys a framework. So we don't do an end-to-end UX based application, because as rightly stated, asked by Prabhat here, the UX is not just an important element, but it is also a variable element. So that means multiple UX specialists can give it their own look and feel. And we at this time, we don't know what interface will work, what will not work. So what we do is, basically we would incentivize the eventual application developers, or the UX artists, or the UX developers, to take the framework and make it accessible to the end customer in their own way, because that's a specialization, and we totally respect that, and that's why we would like to incentivize the specialists who would only focus on UX, but giving them a very robust blockchain application framework in the background.
Amazing. Thanks, Atul. We have a lot many other questions, but we have shortened time. So we'll email you the questions for your responses to them. And if we get an answer from you, or when we get an answer from you, we'll be responding the same back to the community. So thank you, guys. We are just short in time, so we cannot take all the questions. The questions were really interesting, and we definitely will take it ahead, and we'll request Atul to
Just
send
one
the answer.
question. I saw one question on the screen, and
Sure.
it asked, what is the gas fee? And it's absolutely amazing. We love to answer that. The gas fee is like literally 1,000th of or one probably millionth of what you pay right now on the Ethereum network, and you should really experience that. That's why I feel that go and test your applications, or deploy them on the Remix network, on the Remix Xinfin Remix, and deploy them on the Apothem testnet network first, and then try it on the main net. on the Xinfin mainnet, and you'll actually see, what is the actual fee of deploying applications or gas fee for making any transfer.
Absolutely, Atul. Totally agreed. Like guys, we at Zubi, so the certificates that we issue it on Zenfin network because it's cheap for us and it's on blockchain. So it's you definitely can consider it. Try using the application and try using the network. It's actually cheap.